What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 15 of the Real GP series. Today we will be checking out the real GP per hour of the very campable Gargoyles. Thanks for coming back to check out another video, guys. If you haven't done so yet, make sure you follow me on Twitter and Instagram. I take submissions, which I have been getting a lot lately, on awesome drops, PKs, and achievements, and post them up for all to see. You can send them to me directly on Instagram or use the Discord to submit them. If you need the link to the Discord, please check out the description below. The permanent invite link will always be in the description of all my videos. Also, if you're looking for some bossing teams, please feel free to join my clan chat. There's usually 50 to 100 people in there always looking for teams to boss with. Alright, so let's get rolling. As the Gargoyles are a very campable NPC, it has been a highly requested NPC for the Real GP series. If any of you have been following my channel for a long time, you'll remember that I did a video way back when I started that showcased the loot from 5,000 Gargoyle kills. With that video, I only did the net income and actually didn't figure out the profits for the time spent there, so obviously this video will include the actual profit per hour. Gargoyles can only be found in one location, which is the Slayer Tower in Canifis. Your easiest method of getting here is going to be using the Slayer Ring teleport to the castle. If you do not have 75 crafting and the ability to make Slayer Rings unlocked, I suggest using the Canifis Fairy Ring teleport to get here because wasting your hard-earned Slayer points is not worth being a few steps closer to your destination. Once you've reached the tower, you can find the Gargoyles in the southeast corner of the second floor, or first floor UK. Keep in mind, you will need to bring a nosepeg or Slayer helmet with you as you will be running past the Aberrant Spectres. I prefer to just bring a nosepeg and drop it when I get there as it saves an inventory spot. Additionally, if you are on a Slayer task, you will also be able to kill the Gargoyles in the basement of the Slayer Tower, as this area is designated for those of you who are on task only. Moving along into the background information, Gargoyles boast a combat level of 111 with a hit points level of 105. They are aggressive and will remain aggressive for about 10 minutes. Their max hit is 11 and their primary weakness is the crush attack style. Please keep in mind you will also need a Slayer level of 75 or higher to kill the Gargoyles. As for their combat stats, the Gargoyles have an attack level of 75, strength level of 105, defense level of 107, and a ranged and magic level of 1. Although their attack level is a bit low, their strength and defense levels are decent for an NPC of this caliber. You wouldn't expect to get hit much here if you're a higher level player, but even at max combat, I did take a fair bit of consistent damage. Their defensive stats grant them a plus 20 resistance to stab, slash, magic, and ranged, while they have no resistance at all to the crush attack style. Moving on to the drops, the Gargoyles have two unique drops on their drop table, the first being every peer's primary special attack weapon, the Granite Maul. This has a drop rate of 1 in 256, and because the Gargoyles are farmed so much for their AFK money making, the Granite Maul is so common that most people just alch them when they receive them as drops. Its alchemy value is only slightly higher than its exchange price, so if you're looking to spend the most time here possible, consider always alching them. Next is the Black Mystic Robe Top. This has a higher drop rate than the Granite Maul at a rate of 1 in 512. This item's exchange value is always very close to its alch value, usually only differing by a few thousand GP. So if you're not collecting these for any particular reason, I suggest you go ahead and alch these as well. As for their more common drops, they do drop a fair amount of Adamant Legs, Rune Full Helms, Rune 2H Swords, Rune Battle Axes, and Rune Plate Legs, all of which can also be alched. As for everything else, most of it stacks up nicely over time. If it doesn't automatically stack, it is dropped in the form of a banknote, with the only exception being Runite Ores, which are dropped unnoted one at a time. If you'd like to check out the Gargoyles drop list for yourself, please check out the wiki link in the description below. Now we can head into the gear setup. The gear setup is pretty straightforward. You'll always want to be using your best melee gear and best melee weapon here. As for my setup, I'll be going with the Helm of Nitsnot, Fire Cape, Amulet of Torture, Bandos Chestplate and Tassets, Pharaoh's Gloves, Primordial Boots, Berserker's Ring Eye, and my weapon of choice will be the Abyssal Bludgeon. If you can't afford the Bludgeon, you can also consider using a Zamorakian Hasta, as its crush attack style is pretty decent, and if you also can't afford that, a normal Abyssal Whip will also do just fine. In my inventory, you'll see two supersets, a Ceridome and Godsword, a few Sharks, a Rune Pouch, a Slayer Ring, a Rock Hammer, a Smoke Battle Staff, and some House Teleports. For a couple of tips here, a Ceridome and Godsword isn't necessary, Guthans will do just fine. I use the SGS because I can afford it and it saves a few inventory spaces. Also, for the High Alchemy spell, you can also consider leaving a Fire Staff or its equivalent in the bank. The Gargoyles drop fire runes very commonly, so I just store the fire runes in my rune pouch along with the drop death and chaos runes, or you can keep your nature runes in there and leave the fire runes in your inventory. You'll never run out of fire runes, as most people also just leave them on the ground. And lastly, when it comes to choosing how many supersets to bring, it really all depends on how long you'd like to stay. Everything that is dropped can either be alked or stacks up, so base your choice in potions solely on how long you'd like to spend here. And now, last but not least, we come to the loot and the real GP per hour part of the video. As usual, I spent the normal 25 hours killing the Gargoyles and managed to rack up 3,825 total kills, which averaged me 153 kills per hour. If you don't have the Gargoyle Smasher unlocked, which automatically smashes the Gargoyles for you, I highly suggest you do so. It is well worth the Slayer points and helps with how monotonous staying here for hours at a time can be, and will most definitely increase your kills per hour. As you can now see on the screen, I ended up grabbing a total net value of 14,325,114 GP in loot. As for the supplies, the cost is very minimal as I only used supersets and sharks. The total cost of my supplies for 38 supersets and 25 sharks comes out to be 131,190 GP. Subtracting this from my net loot value gives me a final profit of 14,193,924 GP. As I did this for 25 hours, I ended up making 567k profit per hour. And now for my final thoughts. Obviously the Gargoyles are pretty decent for some AFK money making, but there are some other NPCs out there that are better. These being skeletal wyverns, which can be slayed at level 72, and the normal neckrails, which can be slayed at level 80. But because the Gargoyles are generally weak and much easier to kill at a lower combat level, they are still a very good contender for AFK money making for an alternate account. Using an alternate account here for just a few hours a day could generate anywhere between 15 and 20 mil per week depending on the combat level, and that's not too bad for something so easy to kill. Not much attention is required, and you can always reset their aggressiveness every 10 to 15 minutes. But that is going to wrap up this episode of the Real GP per Hour. I really hope you've enjoyed this one, as it has been requested a lot since the start of this series. As usual, I am going to make a couple of requests of you fine people. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a thumbs up, as the more the video gets, the more they spread around. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below, and I'll try to get to as many as I possibly can. I love reading and responding to comments as long as they aren't trolly, so the more the merrier. And lastly, if you haven't already, don't forget to tap that subscribe button on your way out. I will see you guys next week. Take it easy.